Anyway, should food be nationalised? So I like this is Dust's question, and I kind of do a bit of research, and I end up learning a lot of things. So interestingly, the Quran says that a fundamental right of all human beings in a country is food, shelter, drink, and something else. I can't remember. Four things, right? So your basic needs.
Yeah.
Right? That's great. And that will solve all problems. But it's not anti-capitalism. It's just like, that's a fundamental need. And Dust got me thinking about this because he made me realise that if food is not a fundamental right, we can easily be controlled and oppressed by people through our salaries. So like, pay people nothing, and then they can't afford food, and then your employers get to control you. They can get you to do anything they want because you can't afford food. So what are your thoughts about that?
And desperation and leads to horror. And we've got an incident happening. Food and these other basic human rights should be. It's amazing to hear that this is in the Quran, and it kind of showing up Christianity here quite dramatically. And so we need to get some Christians to talk about this, I believe, because from my own point of view, Christianity definitely is about, especially the way Bob the Destroyer communicates, it's all about me, and everybody else can go and F themselves, and which has been capitalism and the...
Sorry. It's hard to get this tiny camera, yeah, go on.
I think, Jesus actually made food for free and gave it out for free, which is what a lot of the Christians seem to forget as well. So maybe there are references actually in Christianity, but certainly a message that the Christians here absolutely ignore and have no interest in, which is very disappointing, because some of the Christians here, this is very disappointing. But I fundamentally believe that if you don't create a community where the basic needs are met, which is a responsible thing to do as an adult and a leader, therefore you're deliberately creating a community to produce violence, war, and not let human beings like you and me develop and grow and create unity rather than what... that's what happened in Germany. It was made in a horrific poverty, and from that created an absolute justification for a Catholic war in World War II. And it's happened in America, where the desperation of, and it's another Catholic Christian entity, create absolute desperation, and now they're murdering children in schools. Desperation will create horror, and if our basic needs are not respected and met, horror will always happen.
Have you got any thoughts about that? Like the idea, I don't know, we've got a couple of ideas there, but did you ever know that the Quran said as a fundamental right, you should have food, a roof over your head, and things like that?
Yeah, it's amazing, but once again, I think that's a human concept. We can come up with that idea. It's not so grandiose. We can come up with that idea.
Okay, cool. And actually, the great thing about religion, it doesn't give you ideas that make no sense. They're pretty sensible ideas, so it's easy for human beings to accept. It's just that we do have an NHS, as Dust brought to me, and I didn't think about this. When Dust told me at first, this was 1 or 2 weeks ago, that food should be nationalised, I thought, that's a bit of a crazy idea. So you say it's simple, but I didn't think it was until 2 weeks ago, until I thought about it a little bit.
We need total reform the political system. We need to start again, but it's going to be hard. How do you do that?
Cool. So I think on top of that, there's ideas. Anybody can say, like you say, you can have ideas. You should be nice to everybody, whatever. But you can Islam also creates systems to enforce those ideas. So Islam is a very clever tax system. Okay, what it does, it taxes unused wealth. So you'll notice that the poor live on their incomes, while the rich live on their profits, because they don't need the income, they got surplus, right? So if you tax the surplus money that's not being used, okay, that taxes the right people, okay, and that's just the beginning of it. And then basically you get the money that is needed to support these systems of providing for the poor.
So, sorry, are you saying that's in the Quran?
Okay, it's one of the five. You know, have you ever heard of the 5 pillars of of Islam? Number 5 is something called zakat.
Right.
Zakat literally is what I just described to you.
So, how, if that's true, which I absolutely, obviously I believe it is, I'm saying true in the universal sense.
Sure.
Camera.
Sorry, yeah, you got a tiny camera there. Sorry, but you can join in though. You can join in.
Please join in, but don't hide the camera,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. If that's true, then how does Saudi Arabia? How does that function? Because you're saying with that statement that Saudi Arabia is not a Muslim country, and a lot of other Muslim countries are actually, in fact, not Muslim countries. In fact, they are another entity that's using the Muslim faith as a gown to disguise and disguise pretty horrific behaviour, like it happens in the West as well. So, I mean, how does Saudi Arabia?
I think most people, a lot of Muslims would know the answer to that. So if you look at the Saudi kings, they drink alcohol, they gamble, all fundamental things that you're not allowed to do, and they do them. They're bombing other Muslim countries with millions and billions of pounds. So it's kind of really fundamental things that most Muslims know that they're not being Islamic. In fact, most, apparently at the moment, Christians can't go to Mecca. Did you know that?
No.
Right? So they say no non-Muslims are even allowed to get into Mecca. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said Christians can pray, or anybody can pray inside a mosque.
So what's happening now then?
So exactly.
After you said all this about
Yeah.
Islam,
Yeah.
it's been contradiction everything you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So Islam is not the way forward.
No, what happens is, like I said about if religion gives one instruction, then you do literally the opposite. You can't really blame the religion. So if there was a coffee shop behind you, and I said coffee shop that way, you go the other way.
Islam, is it the way?
It's the fastest growing religion, so somebody's learning something, but maybe, unfortunately, some of the leadership are doing the exact opposite things. I can't stop them.
It's the fastest growing non-belief system.
I think it's a religious system. It's a belief system.
There's no book of atheism, is there? What doctrines do we go to?
We're going off subject.
Yeah.
I don't mind going off subject.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is saying we're going off subject.
That's fair enough. Thank you.
Would you like to make a view about But if you want to go off subject, I don't mind. Don't let me be the.
No,
just be in the chat.
No, I think that's a good point.
I have to go.
Do you want to quickly just say something about nationalisation of food?
Ooh, this one's new to me. Off the top of my head, I think it would be a good thing. Feed the poor. Too many rich people. Let's get back down to community.
It's very interesting that you just said it was new to you, but a second ago you just said that this religious idea in the Quran was obvious.
Sorry, say that.
You said a minute ago, when I said this is in the Quran,
Yeah.
okay, you said that's obvious.
No.
Oh, okay, maybe I misunderstood.
No. But it'd be a good thing to feed everyone, no?
Yeah.
I don't want to see starving children or anyone. Yeah, help each other out, be charitable. That's the way forward.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking time out for this small YouTube channel. Appreciate it. Thank you, Charles.
So, I think mending a broken society would be one of the building blocks of mending a broken society would be giving people food to live and function. Do you disagree?
Disagree. Even one tiny comment.
No, you don't need to be on
I can get your sound in. Oh, okay, fine. But he was laughing, or he was bemused, I would say, from his facial expression. Okay, which if you disagree, I'm very interested in, in the comments, by the way, disagree, and I'll respond to you, because I respond to comments. Hey.
What do you think of the question?
Yes.
Now, he's a Catholic, a true blooded Catholic, by the way, we got here. and he thinks that nationalisation of food, but it's not a socialist idea. It's just a common sense.
Not everything that is nationalised has to be socialist.
Wow, you heard it there, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, obviously caviar shouldn't be natural. Caviar and salmon.
That's the point I brought up last week.
We're taking it a bit too far, but a basic meal should be guaranteed and nationalised. Yeah.
He's one of the great thinkers in this park, and sadly, some people that are shy don't get heard, and unfortunately he's a great representative of the Catholic community. His views are not the mainstream, and he's look, he just agreed with that. Be interesting to get another Catholic to see that, but without elements like this, because you don't need money in this society for this sort of in transaction. You shouldn't have money just to be a human being. So education would therefore be free and nationalised as well, which is what we had in the UK. And in that period during the UK, what we had was the greatest period of social movement in the history of possibly Europe. I'm sure you can add a comment that another country, maybe France, would be a contender for that. But certainly the greatest period in England of social mobility, where somebody from any background could go to a university and not feel left out, inferior, which is absolutely what happens now. And so that this transaction of money should not be allowed at that sort of level. There should be other levels of it.
I'm not sure if I'm going to disagree with you here, but there's this thing about, I'm really worried about anything being nationalised. It sounds like I just agreed that it should be nationalised, but I think there's another mechanism. So I believe that everybody has a right to food, basic fundamentals, food, whatever, right? But I worry about the government having a monopoly on that control. I think they should source it out to competitors, because my only problem with nationalised things is that they get too relaxed and they do it badly. I would like to have like 3-4 companies, including a governmental company, right, responsible for dishing out the food effectively, yeah, and then whichever one does it best. So you have some sort of competitive system. Maybe that's a small detail. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts about that is completely no. That couldn't function or work. I've worked in the private public sector, and I've worked in it from the government side. And literally, the taxpayers' money are being paid to individuals to constantly have to monitor the entities that you've described for competition, because the only way that all that happens in the matrix that you've just described is who can put in the cheapest tender for government, for the taxpayers to be paying for. And that means cutting wages. That means doing job X, but not really doing it. Yeah, we're going to do that for X amount, but in their head they know there's no way we can do that, but we cannot get this bid in if we do that. And as soon as we get the bid in, they can't do it because there's not the money anymore that exists. And then what you have to do is the taxpayer has to employ individuals to be the police officer of these different groups, to constantly have to literally physically walk out. Did they do the job that we paid them to do? Tick yes. Oh no, look, they haven't done this. Time completely wasted. Money completely wasted. I think your idea of government, you're absolutely right not to trust. Your idea of government and where you come from, I completely 100% agree that they should never be responsible for anything at all. But I'm talking, I would rework government heavily. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. But so yes, from your point of view, you're absolutely right. No government should be trusted with anything. I describe that government as a capitalist government, which is religious, Christian-led, and I'm describing the government which you would actually, I think, might actually agree with, may not. But it's where communities actually form the governments. Those communities that you're building, that you interact with, they become the politicians. They become the leaders. Not having just one sector from Oxbridge or private school kid automatically being. Because I spoke to Ed Miliband the other week, and he's an Oxbridge kid, and he thinks that wealth should only be the people in charge. And I stood up in front of him in a public meeting and said, everything you've done and do is lies. Because he was proposing grassroots, he was proposing big ideas, and literally he and his little Oxbridge mates, Tony Blair, Mandelson, Keir Starmer, literally destroyed, dismantled and abused those very sentiments he gave a talk on LSE, the London School of Economics. And so, unfortunately, the government, yes, you're correct. From your point of view, Ed Miliband, people like that, that's your idea of government, and they will always let you down. But maybe we should have another talk about this, what a government is. I don't know if, maybe, as I've described. Yeah.
I think fundamentally, the fundamental idea is we agree that there should be food enough for everybody, all the basic means of, not just food, but shelter and so many other things. There should be basic human rights, and how we do that, they're kind of relatively the details, and maybe I agree, and I haven't got a specific point of view, but I was just saying, I worry about how rubbish government is at the moment, but I
completely agree with that.
So we agree, and I think maybe it's just right, if you have a rubbish government and it's corrupted, maybe you don't have the best example.
So my proposal to you now is to meet people in these companies that monitor these companies, and just have a interview with them. And the work they have to do to clean up the mess is it's horrific. So I'd implore you to do some research, because I literally worked in that field and I saw it firsthand, and it is incredibly sad experience. Having to be paid using taxpayer money just to clean up someone else's mess, it's one of the most depressing jobs in the world, because it's not good use of taxpayers' money. But we should have a conversation about government, I think, next time.
Sure, and I feel like I'm learning as well, because I'm quite pro-capitalist in many ways, but I like to be able to adapt my points of view if somebody's got a different experience of how it really works. So, okay, fair enough. So, next topic, and I